Hey guys, welcome back. Besiege early access coverage. This is episode 11. I'm Enigmius, and today, finally, we're going to be able to test the Lobber. It's going to be basically done. Before we do that, we have to add a few more braces, and by a few more, I mean several dozen. I've added already since the last episode a bunch, mostly just reinforcing the wood along the base so that the braces have something stable to attach to, and they don't kind of fly apart whenever we shift a load or do something that causes an impact or some kind of stress. Nothing particularly complicated. You can see doing a close-up here just exactly how I'm reinforcing that. It's just basically connecting each wooden block with a brace to the wooden block directly adjacent to it without worrying about whether or not it's a single or a double block, which is treat everything equally. And we get finally a more or less working example of what this whole thing is supposed to do. Now, everything is sped up. It's 4 times normal speed. Normally I would just do this for the simulation sequences, the one we're actually making the machine work. But because it's pretty repetitive based on the nature of the project right now, we're just going to do the whole thing sped up, and that way we can get through it. And if you're wondering how things are done, you'll still get a pretty good idea. And then you'll just have to go through the repetition. I'm using the wood here because you have to have something to place the boulders against, and the half pipes don't count. You can't place a boulder in a half pipe. You have to place the boulder up against something like a block of wood, and if you space it properly like I've done here, they're actually basically resting in the half pipes. I got them lower than I thought was possible. I don't know how I got tricked into thinking that I had to have them higher up than they were. I play tricks on myself like that sometimes. But you get the idea, and the benefit here is that when we start the simulation, the boulders don't fall so far, which is really a good thing. But you can see we stopped the tilting too soon, and it didn't make it into the half pipe. So we restart the simulation and let it sit with the back end elevated a little bit better, and off it goes into the loading chute, pretty much exactly according to plan. You see it's a little bit wobbly. If we were actually planning on using this for anything, we would want to shore that up. We wouldn't want to see it wobbling around like that, because wobble means a pretty good chance that something's going to fail fairly soon. And then we bring the loading arm into place, and we tilt up the loading chute a little bit so that it contacts the boulder with the grabber on the loading arm. And then we've got the little half pipe here, the cradle that holds the boulder. And we got a little bit impatient. You have to understand, as you're watching this, it looks not too bad. It looks relatively smooth. When I'm actually playing it, I'm getting about 2 or 3 frames per second. So I got a little bit impatient trying to get it into the cradle, and the consequence is that it bounced out. But all that swinging back and forth that it's doing, that's just the weight of the boulder. And it's kind of, gravity makes it go down, and then it kind of springs back up a little bit, and it shakes, and there we missed again. And then we broke the swinging arm. That was stage 2 of that failure. The thing about this game is that the failures can be so spectacular. They're entertaining all by themselves. It's not necessarily a bad thing if your machine doesn't work the first time, because it's usually pretty funny watching what happens. So, again, messed it up. Didn't hold up the storage chutes long enough. There we go. We've got a full load into the loading chute. And then we tip it up for the loading arm once we put it into position. And trying to be careful not to contact the boulder at the wrong spots. Bring it over very, very carefully. Let it kind of settle down a little bit with the bouncing and the wobbling. Trying not to use it as a mace and destroy our own machine. And we finally get it into place. And then we bring up the lobbing arm, and the grabber breaks off as soon as it grabs the boulder. I mean, these are things that I'm literally doing these one test after another, and these are just kind of arbitrary failures that we're experiencing. But the one thing that I decided to do is remove the boulders from the storage chutes, just because trying to get the frame rate up a little bit. We've already demonstrated that it works if we do it properly. It'll dump into the loading chute. So now we've got a boulder there. We can see, again, it's much, much slower when I'm doing it than what you're seeing now. So if this seems painfully slow to you, don't worry. It could have been a whole lot worse. I could have set up the boulder so that it was closer towards the loading arm, but in the end, it's not really that big of a deal. So here we've got it coming down into position. And the thing about it is we can adjust the cradle so that it's tilting backwards towards those ballast blocks to kind of hold the boulder if it looks like it's going to misbehave. I was kind of concerned there. It looked like it wanted to roll off. So I tipped it back, and then we bring back the lobbing arm. And now we have to do a little bit of jiggling to get the boulder to go down and connect with the lobbing arm. And then with the lobbing arm, we move everything out of the way. And we release the grabber that's holding the lobbing arm. Oh, we've got to aim it. The grabber holding the lobbing arm will be released, and then we'll release the grabber holding the boulder, and we should lob something. So this has been a fun project. We're going to hang on to this. I've got it saved for when the engine gets upgraded, whatever. And maybe it'll be something that we can make use of. Right now, it's just too complicated, and it's too slow to make any kind of real use out of. So we'll keep it in the archives for something later on in the future, and that we lobbed it. Not very well. We're going to free the sheep. That's what we're going to do. So I hope you enjoyed this project. We're going to be doing a lot more. I don't know what we're going to do for the next one, but we'll find out soon enough. If you want to be notified, you can subscribe to my channel. Please leave your comments and feedback. Thanks for watching, guys, and take care.